effort for Cindy Hill's campaign. I really appreciate everybody coming out here. You guys are the Wyoming Tough supporters, and that's what we need. We have a candidate who's Wyoming Tough, and I said to the people who said, well, what about the rain? Well, this lady has walked through fire and on broken glass. A little rain and a tornado warning are not going to keep her down. So we don't need to worry about that. She will be here in about 5 minutes. We are having some audio-visual difficulties with the video that we wanted to show, the documentary. If we can't show the documentary, that's okay. We'll give you one. You can take it home and watch it yourself, and you can also watch it online, but we don't have Wi-Fi out here. So I apologize for that. But what we're going to do is, before I do that, I want to say thank you to the Natrona County Cindy Hill campaign team. We have a team of about 12 people that are actively working in Natrona County for Cindy Hill, and all of those people came together and put this on tonight. I really didn't have to do anything, and I just want to thank them so much. So please give them a round of applause. Thank you all. So what we're going to do is start kind of by just being patriotic, which is pretty natural to most of us. And Gerald Gay was going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, but I don't see him. Where did he go?
I'm right here.
Here he is. And we have a flag.
That's all you need.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Welcome, Cindy. You're welcome. So let's let Cindy take the show. Cindy, just so you know, we've had some problems with our equipment, and we don't know if we'll be able to show the documentary, but when you have the real thing, you don't need the documentary.
There you go. Hey. Thank you. That's a little loud, isn't it? Hey, thank you for coming out tonight. It's great to see you all, and it's a lovely evening, and I'm sure you must have lots of questions. We're in a very historical time in Wyoming. It's an exciting time. It's a time of great trepidation. I'm sure you're here because you want to know more about this particular candidate. So I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking, and I want you to let me know what your questions are. Should we just get started? All right. Who would like to start? Yes.
What do you know about the refugee campers in Casper?
I actually know quite a bit. Let me just back up. How many of you are familiar with SF-104? A few of you? Great. And you know I sued, and together we won in the Supreme Court. It's good to see you, Representative Reader. Good to see you, Connie. We won in the Supreme Court. Did you know I also sued the governor another time? I did. Last July, I asked for some public records. There's something called the Public Records Act, and I asked for 6 people's emails. I wanted about 50 people's emails, but I asked for 6. And the governor wouldn't respond to me, wouldn't respond, and in November, I sued him again. I did. And he gave me a lot of emails, not the ones I requested.
Of course.
And in that, there was an email about the refugee resettlement. Now, if you were to ask for that email right now, because of a case that occurred about 3 weeks ago, it's called Ayland versus Meade, you couldn't get this email, but I have it. And what the email is, it's an email between Merritt Thomas and Mary Kay Hill. That's Justice Hill's wife. She used to run the Department of Education. You know who she is, Tom. This email discusses how there's a college student, a law student, she happened to be in my son's class over at the university, and a representative from Gillette who wanted this refugee resettlement. And in the email it discusses how they don't have to have legislative oversight or public comment. The governor Reader respects the Constitution. Thank you, Tom. Not everyone does. We pass unconstitutional bills every session. You know we did. And if they don't pass, and you know this happened too, there are many bills who didn't go. You know what they did? They put them in budget footnotes. And they went through anyway. And we have lists of them. So if you want those, you can also call me.
You're good, baby.
I'll get them for you. So to answer your question about the refugee resettlement, it's happening. In fact, I have documents at my home that someone dropped off just recently that shows that the Cheyenne Medical Center is training. In fact, the training's already occurred. It was mandated for their employees to train so that they're prepared for cultural differences with those who are from Mexico and Somalia.
Oh, shit.
Whoa.
It's already occurred, yes.
You're calling these refugee relocation camps?
Well, I'm not calling them
We're
that.
talking about illegal aliens
Absolutely.
illegally coming into this border. Now, how do we get off calling them refugee camps?
You make a really good point. You make a really good point. They're not naturalized citizens. That's your point. They didn't come through in how we all would believe, that you would do it in a civilized society, right? That you follow the law, and we're not. And so there's a great deal of angst going on in our whole state.
There's not a person here that doesn't have a refugee from another country that came in here. But they came through the right way.
Right.
They got naturalized the correct way.
Right. Correct.
Why are we allowing this?
Absolutely. And I say, why are we? And I won't. I won't. We're not taking care of our own right now. Right now, the governor has just cut our developmentally disabled, our most profoundly disabled, just made cuts across the board. Even though legislators, Tom, Representative Reeder, Gerald, Representative Kate, you all in this last session, $10.1 million was appropriated by you all, our state funds, matched by another $10 million. So it was $20.2 million so that wouldn't happen to our most profoundly disabled. And what happened? They were cut.
Yep.
And we don't know what happened to the money. So you all, we have serious concerns going on in this state. You have probably other questions. What are they? Yes?
Why are you running?
Why am I running? Okay, get ready. There are a number of reasons. One, as governor, you need someone who's going to protect your rights. When I first walked in as your superintendent, I was the only no vote when they were trying to take your rights for freedom of speech
Yep.
in a public building, right there at the corridor between the Capitol and the Herscher building. Thank you.
Right.
Some of you know about that. I've only been in office a few days, literally. That's been going on nonstop since I walked through the door. Cheryl Lane is right over here, standing right behind you. Cheryl, will you wave to everyone?
I thought she was going to say the reason she's running is that if you knew what
She
we
knows.
know,
Yeah.
you'd run too.
Yeah, it's true. I do. If you did know what I knew, you'd know. So, and I'm going to talk about a few more things, but that's Cheryl Lane, and she's running for the superintendent of public instruction. Right now, there's another bill. You heard about SF 104?
Cheryl,
There was an SF 106 this last session. You remember seeing it? The clone of SF 104. It would have gone through had it not been election season.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
It's now going through. They prepared it. And if you don't have a governor who's going to veto that bill, if she's your next soup, she's going to go through what I went through. And let me tell you, it was a personal cost to myself, my family, and a financial cost to us.
Yep.
And thank you for all of those of you who donated, but it was very costly, and you can imagine. And we don't need to take our state through that again, do we? No. And I'll tell you, the governor's part of it, and it's happening right now. You hear about federal intrusion? Sure, that encroachment's happening, but you know what's happening that we don't talk about that has to do with the feds? When I was gone for those 15 months and the governor was in control of education, he brought 3 new programs into the Department of Ed. 3 new federal programs. Did you know it? Mm-mm. Did I know it? No, you probably do. The fact is, there wasn't any public comment. None. And that is what happens every day. They're promulgating rules right now, taking away your rights, making more regulations and restrictions. And it's not because the feds are coming in, those 3 programs, the feds weren't coming in and saying, I want you to do this in the Department of Education. No, the governor through the department reached out to the feds and
Yep.
brought them in. Kind of like the refugee resettlement.
Exactly.
They didn't say, we want you to do this. He reached out. He is a federal prosecutor protecting, for years has been protecting the interests of the federal government. He thinks they know best. And I will tell you, I believe that you know best. Yes, on principle. We are in a time, it's an exciting time. But historically, the media have had control. Most politicians pander to the media. They call you the answer. You answer the phone. I don't. Not with the Casper Star. They're not honorable. They're not they haven't hit the standards of ethics that they should. Okay? Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Every profession has ethical standards, and the Casper Star has not been meeting them. And you have to hold them accountable, and I am. And by the way, it's been a time, let me just tell you really quick, and then I'll go right to your question. Back in the cattle baron time, they controlled the media too. It's just now that we have technology, who's our friend, that we can actually have the truth without going through a media source. We can actually get to the facts without depending on media. And aren't we lucky?
Yep.
So why don't we utilize that? Yes. I am in favor of taking care of our people and their jobs and our natural resources. As a superintendent, I was one of probably the only superintendents who went to those, sometimes they have meetings or conferences, and I would thank them. I thanked oil and gas for building our schools. I had a coal miner, actually, no, forgive me, who was oil and gas. He called me, I was making breakfast the other morning early, and Kevin, who, some of you know Kevin, he was in the kitchen and my phone was ringing. He goes, I was watching him and he goes, your phone's ringing. Someone from Gillette's calling. So I'm making eggs, I pick it up, and this fellow, his name was Bryce, was surprised I picked up my own phone. He said, yeah, it is Cindy Hill, it's my phone. And he said, well, let's talk about permitting. And so we did. Thousands of permits are not being approved right now. You know why? Your current governor. We need to get those permits approved. Okay, so you know we have a lot of problems. I want you to know I know. Okay? I'm very, very intimately involved in what's going on. Yes? 2 people. And I'll tell you why. As your governor, I will appoint the State Board of Education, and they're right now the ones who make the decision. You know that. Oh, but if Cindy Hill were elected by the people, I'm thinking there's some legislators who want to redirect that to the superintendent if it happened to be one of those other candidates other than her.
Oh yeah, you can bet on it.
So as long as Cheryl Lane is your superintendent and Cindy Hill is your governor, the Common Core will be repealed.
Yes.
One of the reasons I'm running. You have to have a strong governor. There are other governors who have done it. And also work to repeal the gas tax. How many of you have noticed you're paying a gas tax? I notice it every day. All right? And so don't believe anything you hear about, oh, it's really not getting to the consumers. Those are people who are flying on the state plane and not paying.
Yep.
They don't want you to really have a say in anything. They want to control the person doing the nuts and bolts. And last night he lied. And so the rest of you know the story about this. I hadn't been in office yet a year. And the governor sat down with me in his office, just the 2 of us. And he said, there's a bill coming. It was in the fall. He said, there's a bill coming, and it's to make the superintendent's position appointed. And I just looked at him. And he said, well, I told him, you hadn't even been in office a year yet. And I just looked at him. And he said, and I talked to him about how it would make you a lame duck, and he went on about this lame duck stuff. I don't remember all that, okay? Because my ire was coming up. And then he looked at me, and he said, wouldn't you do it if you were governor? And then I spoke. And I'd never thought about being governor, by the way. I said, no, I wouldn't. Because it's one of the most important positions to the people of Wyoming in education. I wouldn't want to take their voice or vote away from them. And by the way, he was quiet from then on, okay? And we went through a legislative session, and he never said a word, and it failed. That constitutional amendment failed. And then we went through, and then they started attacking me personally. I couldn't figure it out. What are they talking about? Misappropriate? I don't even appropriate funds. Okay? And they went on, and they were in the paper, and I thought, this is crazy. I'd call them, no calls back. I'd write them emails, no responses. Nicholas, you know, the same usual suspects. And then we got towards the fall of the next year, and I saw SF 104 coming. Yep. And so we sat down, we had another meeting. And he said, I heard you've been talking about how I was in support of the constitutional amendment. I said, I have. I've been waiting for you to do it for a long time. But those who write this down, A-L-A-N-D, Aland versus Meade. It was a case that was just decided by the Supreme Court, and what it did is it swallowed your Public Records Act.
Yep.
It means, remember that I said to you, I had that one document from the refugee resettlement?
Yep.
You couldn't get it today
Nope.
since Ayland. And as your governor, I'll make certain that I have an executive order that they wrote about it today in Jackson. I have an executive order that will undo that.
Good.
It will make certain that our departments, our state government, does not keep you from your documents. You pay for them. They're yours. And you should have access to them. If the current governor is reelected, the cronyism, the corruption, your government will continue to be in the hands of the few.
Your governor,
Yes.
the governor from Texas called you,
Mhm.
asked for some assistance with dealing with the border. What would your answer be? And if you chose to assist that governor, what resources would you offer?
Boy, that one's filled with all kinds of interesting nuances because, first of all, I have a problem with the fact that there's been some changes in the military where the governor can actually take our armed forces in our state and actually apply them, and I disagree with that. I do.
That was it.
And I think that the border is important that we hold, but I would really want to follow the Constitution and make certain that our people and their needs are first met, and that I wouldn't be overstepping anything, whether it's a Wyoming or U.S. Constitution. And I believe that he has in that act of now having the authority to enlist our people to go into other states and actually are authorized to take military action. So I don't feel comfortable in doing that. I don't know if everyone understands all of that and how it's transpired. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? So no, I think that Texas probably has just adequate resources to do what they need to do, and I would want to make certain that Wyoming was taking care of our borders. Sorry. I like to be a team player, but not at the risk or at the expense of our people or their rights. And I was thinking about the kids. But I'll tell you, it wasn't about the kids. It was about federalizing education, saying education's failing, it's failing, it's failing. And we need these federal controls. And I said, it's not failing. In fact, the 2 years that I was leading the department, every test score increased, every subject matter, and every grade level. Significantly. Hadn't happened in decades. And one legislator, wherever you guys are, Amy, said to me, you got to stop saying that. You're making them angry. I thought, why wouldn't people want to know the good news? They wanted to federalize education. That's the crux of it.
Yep.
And I said, no. The people of Wyoming know best. Their school boards know best. And most importantly, their parents know best.
Yep.
Most importantly, the parents know best. So I said no to things like this. Here's one. We had a grant, federal grant, for early preschoolers data collection.
That was wild.
Now remember, this is a grant, so preschoolers are going to have data collected on them. And I saw in the grant, actually someone who I work with caught it, said parents will have to opt out in order for the data to be collected. That means, in order, if you were like a 3-year-old, in order for the data not to be collected on her, you would have to figure it out as her dad and go to them and say, I don't want data to be collected on her. And I said, let's change the word out to in. So the parents have to be notified that they want to collect data on your little one, okay, your 3-year-old, and then they have to get your permission before they do it.
Good for
That
you.
one word change, oh my gosh, you would have thought that something had erupted all over this state because I dared to challenge. Anyway, my point is federalizing education. The government knows best. I disagree. I think parents know best. I think their communities know best. Yeah. But I'm in a campaign and I can't afford it. So that case is dead. Even though theoretically it's alive. And I've sued. I want you to know that every time he says that he sued the federal government, you should know what's going on. Otherwise, it's just political jargon.
Yep.
He has 70 attorneys
No shit.
in the attorney. He can pull up and sue anybody. But to win a case is a little bit more challenging.
You betcha.
And I know what it means to stand up and actually take one to the Supreme Court and be successful. And it wasn't easy.
No.
You would have been proud of the work. You would have been proud of the work. So, I say to you, I don't remember this, and I hope you really remember it. When I said no to the No Child Left Behind waiver, which had the Common Core, the National Assessment, and Teacher Evaluation linked to student performance on that,
Oh,
it was a
yeah.
package, it was just the standards. When I said no, it wasn't President Obama and Secretary Duncan who were pressuring me. It was Cheyenne. It was Cheyenne. It was the people in Cheyenne. So I don't think that there's as many challenges as you might think about the federal government coming in and encroaching. And if they are, I think we should be pushing them right back out. They don't have any jurisdiction. Again, the Commerce Clause, it has to be interstate. Intrastate is all of ours. It's ours. They're out of here. They have no jurisdiction. None. All right? And by the way, your Attorney General should be elected.
Yep.
Where's Gerald Gay? Is he here?
Yep.
Okay, kids would come up to me about your age, and they'd say, Superintendent Hill, which bill would you like during the legislature? And I always said, none of them. Until this year. And you know what I did? I actually picked up the phone, and I called Representative Gay right there in that red shirt, and I said, I think there should be a bill. And it should be to elect the Attorney General. The Attorney General should be working for the people of Wyoming. So when
Amen.
there's an EPA issue, water, air, land, whatever, they should be working on behalf of the people of Wyoming,
Yep. Amen.
not a governor's self-appointed attorney serving his particular interests. Or I'm trying to think of his name, Johnson.
Andy Johnson.
Who's down in
Unita County.
in Mountain View. And okay, let's just talk water, period. Ready? So you hear that water, they want to control it. Here's the only way that the EPA can come into Wyoming. And by the way, this is based on the Constitution. They can only come in through the Constitution, right?
Yep.
And the only way they come in through the Constitution is through the Commerce Clause. Correct?
Yep.
It is correct. I'll just say I know it is. Okay. So, and this is how it works. This is how it works. They have a threshold that they have to meet. Okay? They have to prove that, one, the water is polluted.
Yep.
They have to prove it. All right? And so they have that burden of proof. Then they have to prove that it actually moves over our borders. It travels over the borders. And so that's the second burden. They have to show that, again, burden of proof that it's polluted, and then that it's traveled over our borders, and then that it impacts, they have to prove it impacts interstate commerce. They have 3 burdens of proof. And that's to begin the conversation. I want to know why that hasn't been happening. Well, I do know. Because again, the person who's leading this state was a federal prosecutor.
Yep.
He was protecting the interests of the federal government for years, and he still is. He still thinks they know best. And so I don't care how many times he tells you he has sued the EPA or sued the federal government. I've sued him twice. And the second case is going nowhere. So I could say, oh, I've sued the governor twice, I've sued him, but you should be so proud of me. No, no, no. When I spoke with my lawyer on the second case today, I said, you can only do things on your own because I can't afford you. So if you want to do this because it's the right thing to do, go for it, because there's still documents I don't have. But I'm in a campaign and I can't afford it. So that case is dead, even though theoretically it's alive. And I've sued. I want you to know that every time he says that he sued the federal government, you should know what's going on. Otherwise, it's just political jargon.
Yep.
He has 70 attorneys
No shit.
in the attorney. He can pull up and sue anybody. But to win a case is a little bit more challenging.
You betcha.
And I know what it means to stand up and actually take one to the Supreme Court and be successful. And it wasn't easy.
No.
You would have been proud of the work. You would have been proud of the work. So, I say to you, I don't remember this, and I hope you really remember it. When I said no to the No Child Left Behind waiver, which had the Common Core, the National Assessment, and teacher evaluation linked to student performance on that,
Oh,
it was a
yeah.
package, it wasn't just the standards. When I said no, it wasn't President Obama and Secretary Duncan who were pressuring me. It was Cheyenne. It was Cheyenne. It was the people in Cheyenne. So I don't think that there's as many challenges as you might think about the federal government coming in and encroaching. And if they are, I think we should be pushing them right back out. They don't have any jurisdiction. Again, the Commerce Clause, it has to be interstate. Intrastate is all of ours. It's ours. They're out of here. They have no jurisdiction. None. All right? And by the way, your Attorney General should be elected.
Yep.
Where's Gerald Gay? Is he here?
Yep.
Okay, kids would come up to me about your age, and they'd say, Superintendent Hill, which bill would you like during the legislature? And I always said, none of them. Until this year. And you know what I did? I actually picked up the phone, and I called Representative Gay right there in that red shirt, and I said, I think there should be a bill. And it should be to elect the Attorney General. The Attorney General should be working for the people of Wyoming. So
Amen.
when there's an EPA issue, water, air, land, whatever, they should be working on behalf of the people of Wyoming,
Yep. Amen.
not a governor's self-appointed attorney serving his particular interests or hers. We gotta start thinking about a woman. Yeah.
Well, it's Mike Holder, or what is the Attorney General?
Eric Holder.
Yeah, that should be elected too.
Absolutely.
Not Obama's twin.
Absolutely. Who agrees with that? Eric Holder should be. Oh,
Everybody.
I do. I do. You have a whole crowd here who agrees with you. Doesn't that feel good? It's so much better than walking into a tough one, isn't it?
Oh.
You suppose
Yes.
we could check a birth certificate though?
You would hope. You would hope. Yes. Representative Gay, thank you for taking that bill. By the way, he was already thinking about that bill. He told me.
That's a great idea.
There's two parts to that process that she asked about, electing the Attorney General. That bill failed.
Of course.
I ran another bill that had to do with the process of eliminating the appointed Attorney General. The governor right now appoints the Attorney General, and right now the governor is the only person that can get rid of the Attorney General if there's misbehavior or if he's not serving the people. I ran a bill to allow we, the people, to get rid of an Attorney General, and that was also killed by our friends in Cheyenne.
Oh, how nice.
Thank you for running it.
Our executive-
Yeah.
And I will support you as governor when you run it again.
Saying you're doing a great job, but I'm just afraid that, you know, you mentioned a minute ago about federalizing education, and I know I was asked this question earlier here tonight, and really, what is the bottom line in federalizing education? And it's being able to give something up to get federal dollars.
Yep.
And so it's the No Child Left Behind. It's signing up for Common Core, you get X number of dollars.
Yep.
This longitudinal data system that Cindy was talking about, you know, if you sign up to that, we'll give you the money to put this fiber optics all the way through Wyoming so we can collect all this data.
Yep.
So those are the things that we're looking at. And I think it's very, very important that we consider who's running for governor and who will watch our back. And I think Judy mentioned a point earlier about commissioners. It is so important, each and every one of you, we have the right to vote people in and vote them out.
That's right.
And that's where the bottom line is. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.